Hello, this is Mr. Wynn, and this video is the first part of the Algebra 2 first 9 weeks DCA review. This slide has all the topics. You can pause it. It has a comment afterwards. Regular Algebra 2 kids will be doing 1 through 9. If you're in pre-AP or GT, you have to also know topics 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. So again, this has both regular and pre-AP. Regular, only the problems 1 through 20. Pre and PG, look at all 25 questions. The first question is about absolute value. It says solve that. When you see those bars, you must make two equations with parentheses because you cannot distribute into those bars. So I'm going to write the equation twice with parentheses. So it's the first one. Here's the second one. Now, we're not solving the same question twice. There's one difference. One of them has to be negative parentheses, the other one has to be positive parentheses. So everything inside the parentheses is the same. The 4 stays the same, the 14 stays the same. Now it's just the algebra 1 problem. We're going to distribute 2a minus 10 plus 4 equals 14. We're going to combine like terms. So 2a minus 6 equals 14. Then we're going to solve for a. To solve for a, I have to add 6 both sides. 2a equals 20. And then I'm going to divide by 2. My first a is 10. We're going to do the exact same thing on the other equation. Distribute this, negative 2a plus 10 plus 4 equals 14. Going to combine like terms. Negative 2a plus 14 equals 14. I'm going to solve for a. I have to move the 14 first by subtracting it. Negative 2a equals 0. And I got to divide by negative 2. 0 divided by negative 2 is 0. I have my two answers, but I'm not done. Remember, for absolute value, you must check your answers in the original equation with the bars. So I plug in the first answer. So it's 2 absolute value. A is 10 minus 5 plus 4 equals 14. Remember, you cannot distribute. You have to work on inside. So 10 minus 5 is 5. I still can't multiply that 2 and 5 yet. I have to do the absolute value 5. It comes out positive 5. 14. I can now multiply 2 and 5 for 10. I combine like terms. 14 equals 14. That is true. That means this is one of my answers. The exact same thing for the other side. It's going to be 2 times absolute value. A is now 0 minus 5 plus 4 equals 14. Work on the inside of the absolute value, those bars. That makes a negative 5 on the inside. And you cannot multiply the 2 yet. You have to absolute value negative 5. It comes out positive 5. Multiply 2 times 5 is 10. Then combine like terms. 14 is 14. This is also true. So both these are the answer. So A is both 0 and 10. Remember, for absolute value, you must write the two equations, solve them, get two answers. Then you must check those two answers. So it's 4 parts for absolute value. Number 2, another absolute value problem. Exact same idea. I'm going to write the two equations with parentheses. Inside absolute value, those are parentheses, the same thing, nothing changes. But one of them has a negative one has a positive one. Again, the only thing the difference is in front of the parentheses, there should be a positive number and a negative number. Solve each one like normal, distribute. We're going to solve for b. You have to move b to one side, move the smaller one, so I'm going to subtract b both sides. 5 equals b plus 3. I got to move that 3 by subtracting. So 2 equals b. That's one of the answers. Exact same thing on the other side. Distribute the negative one. That changes signs. So it's negative b minus 5 equals 2b plus 3. Move the smaller b. So I'm going to add b to both sides. Negative 5 equals 3b plus 3. Solve for b, so I'm going to subtract this 3. So negative 8 equals 3b, and then I got to get rid of that 3 by division. So negative 8 over 3 equals b. It's going to have two answers, but I'm not done. I have to plug them in, check to the original problem. So absolute value, b is 2, so 2 plus 5 should equal 2 times 2 plus 3. Work on the inside. That's 7 on the inside. 2 times 2 is 4 plus 3. Absolute value is 7. It comes out positive 7. 4 plus 3 is 7. That's true. So that's one of my answers. I'm going to check the other one. I plug it in. Absolute value, negative 8 over 3 plus 5 should equal 2 times negative 8 over 3 plus 3. I'm going to be smart, or I'll just do the inside. Let's see. 15, that makes that inside is a positive 7 over 3. This is going to be negative 16 over 3 plus 3. The absolute value is 7 over 3. It comes out positive 7 over 3. Negative 16 over 3 plus 3 is negative 7 over 3. Those are not the same thing. So this is an extraneous solution that's crossed out. The only answer here is B equals 2. So there could be two answers if they both check out, one answer if one of them fails, or no solution if both of them fail. For this next problem, Steve is looking for an apartment to live in. He has a budget $500 for this. He's willing to go plus or minus 75 of his budget. This situation is multiplied by this equation. So they already gave us the equation. Solve for x. So this is literally just like number 1 and 2. We're going to solve that. We're going to write the two equations. So parentheses x minus 500 equals 75. Parentheses x minus 500 equals 75. Again, the difference is one of them's negative in front, one's a positive in front. So we're going to solve. Distribute x minus 500 equals 75. I'm going to add 500 because I'm solving for x. X equals 575. That's my first answer. Over here, I'm going to distribute negative x plus 500 equals 75. I'm going to subtract 500 both sides. So negative x equals negative 425. And to get rid of the negative sign, you must divide by negative 1. Alright, so positive x equals positive 425. So my two answers. This absolute value, so I should check it in, plug it in, check. But they'll both work. It's a real life situation, so use common sense here. The 575 represents the highest he'll go. That's $75 above his 500. So if it's 575, that's fine. 425 is 75 below his budget, so he saves an extra $75. So between $500, 500 plus 75 is 575. 500 minus 75 is 425. All right, next problem. Average weight of a bag of Doritos chips is 1.25 ounces. Most of the bags are within 0.05 ounces of this. If the equation is that, find x. Just like that last problem, they already give you the equation. All you need to solve it. You can write the two equations. So parentheses x minus 1.75 equals 0.05. And parentheses x minus 1.75 equals 0.05. Again, the difference is one has a negative in front, one has a positive. Distribute x minus 1.75 equals 0.05. Solve for x. One step all I do is add this 1.75 to both sides. So x equals 1.80. That's one of them. Same thing on the other side. Distribute negative 1. Negative x plus 1.75 was 0.05. Solve for x by subtracting 1.75 to both sides. Negative x equals negative 1.70. Get rid of that negative sign by division. X equals positive 1.70. Alright, again, all the absolute values you should check, but it's a word problem, so you can use common sense here. 1.80 ounces, that's the highest, because that's 0.05 above the 1.75. 1.70 ounces is the lowest, because that's 1.75 minus 0.05. Alright, if you check it, it will be true. Alright, then we have inverse. Remember, you're trying to find the inverse. Do the 3 steps. First, to get in the y form, so y equals 6x minus 4. Second step is switch x and y. So now I have x equals 6y minus 4. The numbers stay in the same spot. Then I'm going to solve for y. I have to add 4 to both sides. So x plus 4 equals 6y. And y is almost by itself. I have to divide by 6. And that's my answer. X plus 4 all over 6 is my new y, but instead of y, we're going to go back and call it the f inverse of x. If you want to split that, which is meant for graphing, remember you can do the first thing over the bottom plus the second thing over the bottom. That's the same equation, but you should reduce. So that turns into this. This is really 1 over 6x plus 2 over 3. All right, so all three of those are the same thing, depending on if you want to graph it or leave it as a big fraction. Number 6. So now we're graphing. So very similar to number 5, we got to find the inverse and then graph it. That's where I'm going to really have to break apart that fraction. So first step is y form. Y equals 2x plus 8. Next step, switch x and y. And then solve for y. I'm going to subtract 8 both sides. X minus 8 equals 2y. Get rid of that 2 by dividing. So x minus 8 all over 2 is my f inverse of x. Now I can't graph that yet. I want to make it in the AHK form. So I'm going to split it up. So that's really x over 2 minus 8 over 2. Now I can reduce that. So let's see, this is 1 over 2x minus 4 equals the inverse. All right, now I have some information. So looking at this right here, I know it is, I'll go right here, it is linear. So because it's no square root, there's no bars, there's no square power. I see a is 1/2. So we're not flipping because it's not negative, but if it's 1/2, it's going to be vertically compressed, meaning more wider, sideways more. I see no h, I see k, that minus 4 means it's going to go down 4. And that's all the information I need to graph the picture. So you always start at 0, 0. You follow the directions, it says go down 4. Label that, that's 0, negative 4. I'm going to draw a diagonal line, but I'm going to compress it, make it wider. So instead of 45-degree angle, it's going to look like this. And that's it. That's the answer they want. They want the graph of the inverse. Don't graph the original picture. Find the inverse, then graph that. Make sure you can see a, h, and k. For linear, there usually isn't any h's. It's just going to be the a and the k. All right, if f of x equals 5x minus 10, what is f of f inverse of 10.3? You could find the actual inverse and do the composition, or if you know the shortcut, whenever you see f of f inverse, those cancel out. This answer is just 10.3. So save yourself the work by canceling out f of f inverse. If they reverse that, f inverse of f, same thing, it cancel out. All right, so remember f of f inverse cancels out. All right, for each pair of equations, state whether they're inverses of each other or not. You could do a composition, or the easy way is just pick one and find the actual inverse. So I'm going to look at f of x. So I'm going to ignore this for now. I'm going to use this. To find the inverse, you do the 3 steps. So I'm going to go back to pretty much 2 problems. Then I'm going to go y form, y equals. I'm going to switch x and y. And then I'm going to solve for y. So I have to subtract 3 both sides. X minus 3 equals 2y. Now I have to divide by 2. So x minus 3 over 2 is my f inverse. Alright, now that does not match that g of x. Alright, so they don't match. These are not inverses. I'm going to do the exact same thing for this other side. I'll pick the easier one. I'll pick the one without fractions. I'm going to do the same 3 steps. I'm going to y form. I'm going to switch x and y. Then I'm going to solve for y. Subtract 6 both sides. X minus 6 equals 4y. Divide by 4. So I see x minus 6 over 4 is my inverse, inverse of x. Now notice that does match the other one. Alright, it's right there. It's x minus 6 over 4. Because they match, they say they are inverses. Yeah, I'll say yes, inverses. Alright, and I'll stop right here for the first part. This will be continued on the second part.